Yeah. Yeah, Maitri just reminded me. Yeah, Maitri, good you reminded. Yeah, Rina, go ahead.
Okay, I can't see anybody. Is it's like it's going to be like this, is it?
No, we can ask.
Uh,
Yeah, I think it's good. Whosoever has the bandwidth to switch on video, because it helps the speaker to know it's very different when we are doing online. Yeah. Otherwise,
yeah.
it looks like, talking to only screen, blank
Yeah,
screen.
I can't see anyone except my screen now. So if
Yeah.
you
So
come on
I think
video,
on
it
your,
would-
yeah, there are videos which are opened up. And I think I put the gallery view so you can at least see that, people are there.
okay. Thanks, Aditi. Okay. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for coming. And I hope you all had a wonderful last week, midweek until today. It was great. So today, what we will going through is two syllabus which we will consider and why we are considering. I know most of you are doing homeschooling, open learning, some of you are unschooling. Irrespective, why I think why we need to look at NCRT as a framework is something that I will discuss today. But before I get into NCRT, I would like you to take you to this very important document, which was prepared in the year 2005, and it is pending a review, like the National Education Policy, which just came recently in 2020. If you look at the policy, which was first made, was in 1986, the National Education Policy, and after that, there was a slight review of it in 1992, and then after that, there has been nothing until 2020. Although the 2020 NEP is really not I mean, that's for another day, we can debate about it. It's not really giving a lot of hope, but there are certain things that are right, they are taking some good in the right direction, let's say. But for us, the 2005 NCF is a framework that, as teachers, as educators, as even children, oh, it's a very important document. And any educational institute, anybody who is, or not just institutes, but even as parents, as teachers, as children, it is very important to understand this document, and why we should understand it. It's because um, it draws from a lot of classical theories to get us to understand why education, what are the aims of education, what are those important questions that we need to ask when we look at this whole idea of education. And what this document has achieved is to, for us, it has simplified the aims. That is because in a country of so many billion population, we all as citizens have different aims or different goals when it comes in our lives. And when it comes to education, each of us would have uh, a lot of aspirations and things like that. But how does this all culminate into something that what we're providing called education? How does all these the entire nation's aims can be culminated and taken care of, is what this document, this NCF 2005, provides for us. So if you look at this document, it is easily downloadable from the internet. I will share with you the link to NCF 2005. And this is like the holy Bible for educators who can go back and forth to understand what we are doing when we are looking at this whole concept of education. Now, when you look at NCF 2005, it gives us a very important framework within which schools, teachers, educators can choose and plan experiences for children. For example, what are some of the things that you want to do? Is it just a building and some teachers and some materials that we need to have, and then can we run the school? Or are there more than that, more than just about um, building and syllabuses and things like that? So here are some of the basic questions I have listed out. These are all there in the NCF document. So first of all, what educational purposes should schools seek to achieve? So when I say schools here, it also means for us as unschoolers, we also need to ask this question to ourselves. Then what are some of the experiences that we can provide to our children to achieve these purposes? So is it just a blackboard in the classroom? Is it just some kind of having some textbooks and just reading from it and things like that? So what are other experience? Can I actually look at experiences that these children go through in their daily lives and use that in the classrooms? Can I go through their lived experience to achieve these purposes? That is the educational purposes. Then how can these experiences be meaningfully organized? And how do we ensure that these educational purposes are indeed being accomplished? So it's not so when we talk about education in most what it's a very has a very instrumental view of education is, I have to finish my 10th board, I have to finish my 12th, then get into whatever professional courses, finish that and get into a job. This is a very instrumental view of education. Now, when you look at what education should do to you, you should go to the aims of education, which is uh, what is very beautifully given in this document. So I've just given a summary of it. Now, as children here in this group, I think it is important, because most of the time you take this NCF documents to teachers, schools, and we actually do read this out, do a training and things like that to teachers for them to actually impart this kind of education to schools. But do you think as children you should understand this document? You should be asking, why should we know about it? Definitely. Today, when you look at what is being imparted as education, what is happening in our society, not just in your schools, but in the society as a whole, this document provides you, if we can give you a lot of insights what a society should be, because we are a democratic society. We are a nation which from years and years of monarchical and colonial rule, we became a democracy in the 20th century, like many other countries. But uh, and when we are a democratic nation, someone is talking in between. Okay. So when we look at so when we're looking at this democracy our country as a democracy, there are certain democratic values which, as a nation, we are, we have to follow, and these are engraved and enshrined in our constitution. So these are beautiful values that, as not just for the namesake, it is there in our constitution, it is there as a preamble, no, but it is something that each of us should strive to achieve it, and it is a constant endeavor. It doesn't stop at one or two things. It is a process that keeps happening for us to fully imbibe these democratic values. Therefore, it is so important that what we get in our education, what the kind of education that we receive is that conforms to these ideals of democracy. And these are I mean, we all know the values of equality, justice, freedom, fraternity, and things like that. We definitely know what these are. But how much of it is coming through us? Um, uh, and how much of it are we getting it through education? Because this is how and only when you get it as as an educated person, it reflects in the way we live in our society. So let me just give you an example of what is happening in today's world. Across the world, you have people who are subverting these democratic values for very vested interests. We know of things happening around the country. Take a very simple example of what is happening in the nation today during this pandemic, when things are really in a very sorry state, so to say. I mean, institutions which were supposed to be taking care of basic needs of the people have crumbled down, and we are not able to get what we are not able to provide basic things to our people today. The economy is crumbling down. But look at what is being peddled as fake news, as things like that what is being uh, broadcasted as news today, sidelining all important issues and talking about very trivial issues, sensationalizing it for TRPs and things like that. Now, as very responsible, if we as citizens who are responsible, um, who go by the values of democracy, should be able to question these um, happenings that are happening in anywhere in the world, or in our country especially. And we should be able to know we should be able to sift the truth from false, and try and ask critical questions to our authorities, to the people around us. So this is a very important aim, that is commitment to democracy. So this one aim is uh, it should be there in all that we do in our education, because this will help us to understand things around us, to ask the right question, to reason, and enable us to build these values more. The next aim is autonomy. When we look at normally when children are struggling with things, we tend to, as parents, as educators, as adults, what we do is we just rush to go and help them and solve the problem for them. But how much are we even helping them to improve their own decision making capacities? Because as children, they are capable of taking their own decisions. But are we giving them that autonomy? And the other thing is, of course, Arohi for that is striving very hard to, help us as not just as children, but as a community, to become more autonomous. So this is something very heartening to see. But how much of it is being really done across? That's a question to ask. Then there's something called construction of knowledge. Now, when we look at construction, this is a term that was coined by the famous psychologist Piaget. Now, what did he say? That whatever you learned, right, it should not just be from the books, from something that you're reading and reading for the just sake of understanding and writing an exam or whatever it is. But are you able to go beyond it with the knowledge? Like, you can take small things. It is not just from books, but any small experiments that you do, or you may encounter something, and can I construct knowledge out of it? Can I connect to the world around me? Can I make things talk to me? So this is called construction of knowledge. So anything that we do, so really when we are reading academic school related subjects, are we really constructing knowledge, or is it just that we are just indulging in rote and for the sake of writing exams are we doing this? And then of course the other aim is that we should be able to gain this knowledge, enable this education should help us participate in the economic processes of a country and indulge in social changes, in social change. And one of the most important aim is that can we, education should help us appreciate beauty and art forms that are so integral to our human life. Most of the time what we do is we just fall for anything, any thing, but do we have that aesthetic value? Can we appreciate beauty and creativity then in its natural form, in its raw form? Can we go deeper into these art forms? So appreciation of beauty is something that uh, beauty and in the art forms is so important, and this is another aim that it proposes. So question to ask is that these are all very nicely spelled in our national curriculum framework, whether you do IGCSE, whether you do your CBSE, NIOS, or any other ICSE syllabus or anything. Are all these syllabuses conforming, are imparting these aims to us? A very crucial question to ask as educators. But why did I brought this, why did I bring this up now? I know that we have an audience of children, is for children also to understand that our education is not without, it's not something that some curriculum is there, some syllabus is there, but how are these designed? And so there is something called, there is a goal, there is an aim that one has to achieve, and these are aims that are also enshrined, the values that are enshrined in our constitution, so which is one of the best constitution of the world. So we need to understand that these are aims that we as individuals, we as children these are educational aims that we should know. And therefore I brought this, I thought I'll take a few minutes to explain what this is. Of course, when you read the entire, it's a long document. And of course, I would suggest, if you are interested as a parent, as a student, as teachers, as educators, and as common citizens of this nation, if you need to understand, participate in the process of democracy, read the aims of it, and it draws from a lot of classical theories of education written by great philosophers. So it really does not tell you who has written what, but it draws from these people's philosophies, and inspirations are from here. So there is no way, these aims are that you can counter these aims. So they are like, I felt that these are aims set in stone, and I think one should follow. So why did I bring these aims? So when I look at curriculums across the boards, I do understand that NCERT being whose directors are some of the eminent educationists who are part of writing these aims, did ensure that when they wrote their curriculum, so NCERT is just a body which is so if you look at NCERT as a it's a separate educational autonomous body which does a lot of what you call, they have their different wings, and they do a lot of training for teachers, they do a lot of action research and things like that. And one of their another important activities to publish They come up with a whole lot of publications, but they are also the sole authority to print textbooks for CBSE curriculum children. When I say CBSE, it's for the central schools, but of course there are a lot of other publications who have taken cues from NCRT, and they have come up with their own publications too, which many CBSE schools and ICSE schools do follow. But NCRT, if you look at, they had a team working, so they did have, right from the 1990s, they did publish textbooks conforming to the aims. Well, the aims at that point, they were conforming to the education policy. But after 2005, the publication that came out in 2008, it ensured that all the content that they had, so you will see a sea change in the textbooks that were in the 90s to the in 2008 onwards. Why is that there is a change? Because after the document, 2005 document was published, the NCRT started publishing textbooks. So when they had a team of authors who debated, discussed, and tried to make sure whose voice is heard, how much of what can be brought in, because as a nation, we are so diverse and we really have a lot of things to cover. But what was the most important thing? Does it conform to the aims of education? These were something that they debated, and with great thought, they had to write these textbooks. So having met somebody who was a part of the textbook committee, these were some of the inside stories that came up, that the amount of debates that they went through to even have one particular lesson or concept or whatever it is. It did not just they did not just decide something in a matter of few days. It took them a couple of years to come to this form, and that is why when you look at the NCRT textbook, there is a change from what it has been earlier to what has been published from 2008 onwards. Now, why NCRT textbooks? So one is the aims of education says that knowledge should not be confined to only textbook, but it should go beyond the textbooks. It should so this textbook, not like your holy grail. You needn't depend on this. The teacher, it's just a guide for the teacher to understand. But the teacher can take this book and take things outside. So as a parent or as a student too, as you go through these lessons, you will be guided by things like discuss, imagine. There will be small text boxes for you to, and there will be another text box which says elsewhere. So these are text boxes for you to understand where you can, what all you can go and do outside of this textbook. How much can you research? How much can I explore? So that option is provided in this book. And then so what happens is, let's say you're looking at plants. It doesn't just let you work if in a science textbook. It just doesn't allow you to just read, memorize and answer the questions. If you look at their questions in between, in-text questions are there. It asks you to imagine, it asks you to discuss. So in a classroom setting, you are sitting with more than 30-40 students. So you get into groups to discuss. But when you are at home, if you're using this book, then you will be directed to imagine and to discuss. Maybe you take the help of your family members to go and do certain experiments. So that is why so these are things that are given in the NCF, that your learning should be connected to the world, things around you. It should not be something very alienated, not something that is not that's away from your daily realities. So that is, and you should draw from things that are there around you, and then you should be able to try and enlarge your vision and go further and learn things. It should be, that is what is envisioned in the NCF. That is what is more or less, in a lot of ways it is translated, but being a textbook, it has its own limitations too. So one is, if you look at this textbook from the previous publications, I find that it takes you away from rote learning, and it gives you, it helps you to understand what is being imparted there, what is the concept is, to understand the concepts, to understand realities, to understand the world around you, helps you actually go further to research, and understand things. So another thing is this overall, the NCRT, it helps you to, for an overall development of the students, and that's what I just explained. And then there are, it makes flexible examination which is integrated with classroom life. For example, there is a, if you go through assessment, they came up with this continuous assessment, comprehensive assessment. Now when you look at what is continuous comprehensive assessment, they have a very detailed guide on this also. It means that you are not just testing the student, for their memory by just a written examination. You have imparted a certain concept. Let's say you have talked about equality in social science, and when you are talking about it, it doesn't just ask you multiple choice questions or questions for certain marks, but it asks you to do a certain, you can even exhibit your understanding. You can show that yes, I have understood this concept through other means of assessment. Maybe they can get into art forms, they can paint, they can draw, they can sing, they can do a role play, they can enact a whole play out of it. So things like that, these are the flexible ways of assessing their understanding. And the evaluation of the teachers should be based on this. It cannot be just plain marks. So this is, when you look at these kind of systems are not really available. Most even developed countries like America and all that, there are standardized tests. But if you look at Finland, right, if you look at places like this, you will find that typically an examination, the assessment would be in this form. It is not just limited to writing an end term exam or a midterm exam, and then so the whole focus is on on to see whether the child has grasped the concept, understood in whatever form it can, because children learn in different ways. So what unfortunately, what is being even done even today is that we still uh, conduct these final exams, and the system really hasn't changed, because what is envisioned by NCF and what is being done through policies by the different political systems, they are two different things. And somewhere there is no synergy, and there is nothing really concrete coming out when it comes to taking exams. See, even in a pandemic situation like this, if you really are a society that cares, that one thinks, yes, it is much beyond, education should go beyond exams, I strongly feel that we shouldn't even be conducting an exam. There are ways of evaluating students' understanding. There are ways of getting them to be to deepen their understanding beyond this exam. And you won't believe that we as a there are several educationists who have gone and studied the Finland model, the Sweden model, and have come back, but really nothing much has been done on the ground. So yeah, so there is a whole guide on this CCE, which is continuous comprehensive evaluation, but that is something one has to, if you're interested, then you need to study the document to understand how you can evaluate. It can be done by teachers, done by parents. So why NCRT? so it says it does not just cover academic syllabus, but also provides a solid foundation to your basics. I agree with that. All, of course, then for those people who are the uh, who are desirous of entering engineering, medical, UPSC exams, do follow NCERT books. I know of people, my students, who are preparing for civil service examinations, studying the NCERT books just to get some understanding, and then they delve into the other books from the references provided in the NCERT books. One, and the other thing is, since it is done on a large scale by this autonomous body, which is not a profit-making institution, so it is affordable. Earlier we had problems with quality of the textbooks, and now they have even improved on that. Earlier we used to have pages coming out, but there's been a lot of improvement today. When I buy a NCERT book, they are in good prints and good binds. So I have provided the NCERT website here, and with the new education policy, where they have now trying to build skills simultaneously. They are coming up with vocational education. I tried to get into those sites, but unfortunately it's still, I think, under construction, and it has been it's taking me to another site, so I was really not able to get much out of it. So so let's look at some of the subjects that CBSE syllabus follows, and now I'll briefly talk about NIOS as a syllabus. So NCERT is not any, it's just, it is not that they are providing any syllabus here. So then afterwards there is the Central Board of School Education that that takes a lot from NCERT, and that is how they use their textbooks. And this body, it's called the CBSE syllabus, and a lot of schools, the central schools across India and a lot of private schools follow this syllabus. And when you look at Indian boards, if you look at state, there is a state syllabus and there is a CBSE syllabus. So a lot of us during our times, we never, CBSE was limited to students, children of army people who were mostly in the armed forces. But here, now we have, even today, the central schools are generally for them very, very small quota, but we didn't have too many private players offering CBSE during those times, during at least my time. But now when I look at, a lot of private schools are offering this as an option, CBSE. But then there is this other option, which is the ICSE. I've really not gone through that much, and have no great idea of this ICSE syllabus. But I have looked at a few social studies textbooks of that ICSE follows. They do not follow the NCERT books, although teachers, as a school, most ICSE schools have their own publications. They're kind of loyal to these publications and they buy from them, or they switch to other publications. But I have seen teachers holding NCERT textbooks to give them a lot more guidance, but more or less the topics covered are from this, are taken from the curriculum, CBSE curriculum. Then similarly, we have the open schooling system, the NIOS schooling system. Now NIOS is it is offered at a central level from the center, and it is for, it has got three elements to it: the open basic education, which is for up till the middle school level. Then you have the secondary education, where one can write your exam, 10th exam privately. Then you have your senior secondary exam, which is your 12th exam. Now what NIOS does is, now a CBSE school, if you have to do your CBSE syllabus, let's say you all say that this is the best and I want to do this, unfortunately, to appear as private students, one must go to a school, take a lot of permission, give some money and things like that. I really don't know if as a private student, one can appear or not, one has to do that research. But to be able to write as a student privately, that is, learn independently, write your NIOS gives you that room. You can write your 10th and your 12th, and you can stagger your exams. You don't, so there is a process. So I've given the process in the next slide. So before that, these are the subjects. You have languages, Hindi and English, of course. In NIOS gives you option to take other languages too, like your Tamil, Malayalam, Marathi, whatever you want, um, you can write as another language. But mandatorily in NIOS, you have to write English, and even in your CBSE syllabus. Then in 9th and 10th, what you have is combined science, both in NIOS and in CBSE, which is, you will have to learn all three: chemistry, physics, and biology. But in NIOS, you have the option of taking it or not taking it. And then you have math, and again, math, you have the option of taking it in NIOS. In CBSE, currently they have that option, but earlier it was not there. Social science is still divided as history, geography, social and political life in 9th and 10th. And it is compulsory for you to take all three as social science. But while you go to the 11th and 12th, you have the option of taking only history, or only your geography, or only political science. Then, of course, they have introduced economics, sociology, political science, sociology and economics in 9th and 10th. But political science and psychology is mostly in 11th and 12th, I think, but I have to confirm that, I'm not sure. But in NIOS, all these are there. Yeah. Then after that, yeah, schools that follow CBSE are adopting NCERT textbooks, but NCERT is, yeah, and they also use textbooks from other publishers. So I think I've covered that. Let me just take you a little more on NIOS, how to register. You can register when you are 14 years of age. Then the flexibility in terms of writing your exams within a period of 5 years. So you don't have to write all your, five subjects you'll have to choose from an array of subjects, but you don't have to write all 5 at a time. You can stagger it. Then you, once registered, hard copies of the textbook will reach you to your postal address. And these textbooks are not from NCERT, the NIOS textbooks. They are, even if you look at the way NCERT, NIOS book is written, textbook is written, and if you compare with the NCERT book, you will see that there is a lot of difference. And there's a really, when you look at the content quality, the quality of the whole book itself, you will find there is a lot of difference. So this is about the syllabus. I can stop here and then take questions from you all.
Yeah, Reena, there is a question by Roshni. Where can we find the studies and understanding done in Finland, Sweden, different education system, and what are the parts they could not implement? And some of your typing in the chat window, I can read it out for Reena. But if you wish to come on the mic, you can also come. Yeah. Then there are a couple of more questions, Anjali, related to that. What are the differences? I think, Anjali, maybe initial part you missed it, but if Reena wants to repeat, she can go ahead. Yeah, I think then the Usha's question is related to NCERT. So, Reena, you want to take this one?
Yeah. Okay, I think I'll answer Roshni's question of Finland studies. I can, where is this? Okay. Just give me a minute.
Sure.
All right. Studies are done. I wouldn't be able to find out the studies done by education. We have to look at probably look at NCRT website and see if they have studies done. But me coming from from an institution, from an educational background, I know of people who have studied. Who have gone to Finland. For example, the CEO of Azim Premji University, the vice chancellor there, the registrar there, all these people have visited, stayed there, and I have materials related to Finland, the Finland methods of education, the Finland system of education, and I must say that. It's very easy to point fingers and say that how can you follow that kind of a method in a country like ours where the population is huge, where the diversity is huge and things like that. But this is followed in certain places, in some of these private institutions. If you look at how the methods, of course, what you look at higher education from some reputed institutions in our country itself, follow this Finland methods. So I can share some of these documents, but I need time. I can share their studies with you all. I can share what, from very authentic sources on their methods. So do ping me and I will, can send me a mail. My mail ID is there on Slack, and if you want, I can give it to you. You can write to me and I shall forward their studies to you. That should not be a problem. What are the other questions? Let me just have a look.
Yeah, Reena, thank you. I'll do that.
Yeah.
I think some of them are asking, is the content of the quality is better or the paper quality is better in NCRT books? And
yeah, that's what I said. It's both. So earlier, the paper quality and the content had problems prior to 2008, when the revised textbook was done. So in 2008, if you look at the textbook and if you have the textbooks of prior to 2008, you will find the content also to be, the quality of the content, quality in the sense in terms of the way the material selection is being done, way things are written, the way if there are discussion dialogues that can happen. No, it doesn't allow you for that. But if you look at 2008 hence, then you will find that both in terms of content quality and in terms of making it more accessible to the reader, I think they have achieved that. And in terms of quality of the paper, yes, it may not be as great as what you call your IGCSE textbook, which charges you some 1,000 or 2,000 rupees for a textbook. Yeah, it is, for the common man to buy 60 rupees and 80 rupees is still a big money. So they have tried to somehow balance that thing for in NCRT, but I still think it's a great, in terms of quality of paper also, they are good. So
Anjali is asking the difference between NIOS and NCRT book syllabus.
Yeah, so I wouldn't say NCRT. NCRT is a body which helps the CBSE syllabus. You can.
She's asking NCRT. I think NIOS and NCRT are the. She's asking the difference.
That is, the NCRT is the organizing body which helps all education. See whether you're a school following CBSE or if you are doing NIOS, NCRT provides you those guidelines. So the difference is that NCRT is the is there, is the organizing body there, but your schools and your syllabuses comes under NCRT. So when you look at NCRT, that guides both NIOS and CBSE. If you look at NIOS syllabus, there are a lot of overlaps with CBSE, and
with
you will find, yes,
with the NCRT
with
guidelines. Yeah,
you will find there is a lot of overlap. Why? Because both are working from the same center, right? There are two different governing bodies, but they are they're working in tandem. You have one, you should look at the hierarchy. So you will find both of them reporting into the education minister.
So,
they-
yeah, so if
Yeah.
I little more elaborate what Anjali's question is that, is the NIOS following NCERT syllabus?
Yeah, more or less they follow the NCERT.
So there are NCERT books which is a separate sets, and is the NIOS is the different sets of books they prescribe, or they follow the NCERT books?
No. So NIOS, once you register, they have their own textbooks. They printed their own textbooks. As soon as you think, okay, this is what I'm going to be doing, the NIOS exam, then when you write when you register for it, to your postal address, the textbooks arrive as hard copies. For
But they are
whatever
not same as NCERT books. Means, in
Yeah,
the
but
market
they
you
are-
go, you can get the NCERT books from 1st to 10th standard. These
Yes.
full sets of. So these are
Yeah.
different, and what the NIOS will send you for the 10th examination that's different. Is that what, Reena, you're saying?
That's different. Yes.
Yeah,
It's
Reena,
different.
it's like for grade 10 only NIOS has this thing, right? If
Yeah.
child is appearing for grade 8, NIOS doesn't send any books, is it?
I don't know, but there is something called basic education. When you register there, I think they send material for that, for basic education also, but I can confirm that for you. But mostly I worked with only 10th and 12th grade children. So I really have no idea of it. But when I went to their site, I did see that there is something called open basic education. These are basically meant for, very old adults and even children who have missed schooling in their lives and who have not so these are like really basic for them to like some of these they wanted to improve the literacy rate in India, right? At that time they came up with this open basic education.
It's
for-
like basic skills to ability to have the literacy and number sense and different.
Yes.
Reena auntie, I have a question. It's me, Trisha. So in an NCERT textbook, it's more like activities and practicals. So you need facilities like microscopes and all when you take a biology textbook.
Yeah.
So is it like that in the same as NIOS, or is it more information and less activities?
Yeah, in NIOS, unfortunately, they do not have. So that is why one of the drawbacks in CBSE, you will need to go to a school with these facilities to do the CBSE syllabus. So that is why they don't allow for these private, because they'll ask you, where did you do your practicals? Can I show your? But what NIOS has done is that they do have a practical component in science and even in psychology and all that. They do have so how do you do it? So what they do is, once you register, you also need to be you be attached to a study center. So they have different if you go to their website, in each city, in each of these city or towns across India, you will find that there is a NIOS study center. And NIOS study center will have contact classes. And when does this happen? It happens mostly in the weekends. So, and you will have to now NIOS has three different things. Let me just spell out. Once you register, then you get the study. Then within 2 or 3 months of you appearing for your exams, of your registration, you will have to write something called an internal assessment exam, the tutor marked assessment. Now, how do you do this? So somebody has to mark your internal assignment, and that is done by the study center teachers. So you will have to go there, you have to register yourself into a study center. So while registration, they'll ask you which study center. So you should see the nearest study center in your school, in your near your house or where, and then go there for the contact classes, because that attendance has now become mandatory. Before, that was not important. But with pandemic now, I don't know what is the situation, but early now, as soon as schools get normalized, this attendance will be compulsory. So you will have to go to these study centers and attend classes there. So during that time, they also, when you're doing your practical exam, you will have to actually study for these practical and just go and do those experiments. That is all. So here you are really not doing, not learning anything. It is again very just to complete your exam, the NIOS thing. So if you really want to do your own experiments, that you will have to, in your own interest, find labs where you can go and get attached to and do these experiments, or you will have to do it from in your home with materials available with you. But if there could be things that are not available at home, right? You may have to go to a lab. So try and see if you can visit, ask a lab if they can give you permission, and then you can work on it. In fact, somebody who's working in the lab will be better, will also be able to explain to you well. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Reena.
Maitri, so Trisha, you are following NIOS syllabus or NCERT?
Right now, NCERT textbook.
Yeah, I think what Reena is suggesting is if you have registered, you will get their curriculum. Yeah, and
Okay. So between IGCSE and NIOS, what's the difference?
yeah, I think that's the question Maitri also has. Yeah, Reena, you can go ahead. For IGSE also, Bhargav is also here, but I think he's saying maybe he needs some more time to prepare. But
Okay, whatever little I know, I will
yeah,
tell
you can
about
share that. Yeah,
IGCSE.
yeah.
So IGCSE for me, personally, it's a great curriculum. It's very, very interesting, done really well. Unlike NIOS, which goes into breadth and nothing deeper, IGCSE has very few topics and delve deeper into it. And there is nothing like you should learn and then go and write your exams. Very clearly understand what you're writing, because if you look at, let's take the example of English, right? It's like not like they will bombard you with grammar questions from the lesson, a question and answer from the lesson, nothing like that. It's clearly, what are some of the skills that you've developed when you're reading. Let's say if it is essay writing skills, there are different forms of writing that it will ask you to learn and understand. So they might it's the only thing that will help you is looking at past question paper. But unlike Indian boards, no question paper gets repeated in an IG syllabus. You can go prepared with a lot of writing samples and things like that. When you go there, totally, what it is seeking to understand is that whether you have understood writing a descriptive essay or narrative essay, argumentative essay, whether can you summarize something that I've given, so concising and writing into a summary. So these are some of the skills that you should learn. That's for English. Simmons, it is not important for you to mug up the periodic table and go there, and that doesn't help you at all. You will definitely need to understand the science behind every concept that you learn. And then if you go there, so what IGCSE helps you do is go deeper into your what you call understanding. I personally like it, but I also think there are limitations to IGCSE. If you are a student who are aspiring to go abroad and study further, it is a helpful curriculum. But if you're someone who wants to continue with your professional courses like engineering, doctor, medicine and things like that, I would strongly recommend go through your CBSE's curriculum, because that is where most of your, if you're really interested, that's where most of your objective type of questioning and things like that, all these questions that are being asked during these competitive exams come from CBSE. But if you are not keen on doing any of these, but want to pursue other interests, then NIOS is a great curriculum. You can do what you like for the sake of certification, but go deeper into something, and like maybe many students have not been able to, are not and I've not gone into law and medicine. I have a student who is now studying for a law. So people, whatever interest you have, you can definitely take it forward through any of these curriculums. Nothing is a limitation here. So it's all up to you. But IGCSE provides, and again, as a you will have to be attached to a school, and that's not possible for us people like us who are homeschoolers and unschoolers. But if you are an IG student, then you can be homeschooled. You can do it privately. You can find out which are the schools that allow you. And there are 2 windows now for India because of these lot of students. Our academic year is different from those of abroad. Earlier, it used to be only conducted in May, the 10th exams, and 12th also around that time only, I think. So then after that, your school starts. Most IG schools starts like in abroad. They start in September. Some schools, and some of the schools start normally in June, but still they do have the exams only in May. But you can write your exams in 2 different periods. That is, in February, if you are keen on applying to Indian colleges and Indian boards, you want to write some competitive exam, do take your February. That's too early actually. So your preparation should start way early. And believe me, IGCSE exams, neither are they tough nor are they very easy, but you should be well prepared. You may have to do a lot of practice, so that requires time. And if you have to take mandatorily 5 exams, and again, like NIOS, you can write 2 exams now and 2 exams later. That's to do with even CBSE you can, but NIOS gives you a consolidated certificate. You don't get separate certificate. Similarly with IG boards, you will get a certificate after you've completed the mandatory compulsory 5 subjects. So minimum 5, and then maximum you can take up to, I think
7.
6 or 7, 8 or 9. I'm not sure. I know of students who have taken extra subjects, some extra 2 and 3, and I wonder how they do it. But yeah, it's in your interest, your commitment to learning. If you can find time to do it, then yes, you can go ahead.
Yeah, so Jayashree, I think there are a couple of more questions, and even for this, I would like to go a little more deeper, especially Trisha is planning to go for the examination. So is it okay, Reena, if we extend it a little more? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, so I think so. The next question is there's another club. Yeah, Leela.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. The club
so,
people can go into breakout rooms.
yeah, that I will. Yeah, that I will do. So the people who are for the breakout room, sorry, for the next club, is a reading club or dance club now?
Dance club.
Dance club. Okay, fine. So maybe you will need share screen and all. I can.
You are preparing sociology and you want to write this exam in the next 3 or 4 months. You can space it out, plan your studies, and you can then apply for on demand. It is all available online. I think that was a question from Sirisha Naveen. So if the child has turned 14 years, go ahead and register online.
Yeah.
This is there online. You can.
So yeah, so I think there is also a window you register and then you register for examination. Reena, these are 2 different windows, right? You register with NIOS website itself, and then there is another registration for examination. So yeah.
Registration is when the exam comes, you will have to apply for your exam.
Just 1 minute. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Go ahead, Reena. Yeah.
Yeah. You can while you're registering itself, you have to choose subjects. But if you in the event you change the subjects, that is also possible. And during your examination, when you're filling up this examination details, forms, and you will have to pay a certain examination fee, they'll have to send you your hall ticket, because there is a center where you'll have to go and write your exam. So during that time, there's another process. So you're right, Aditi. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Ratnesh is also adding something. Ratnesh, you want to say something? Say a little louder. So maybe you can come closer. Yeah. Yeah, Reena, you think we can have one more? I think we can go a little more detail into specific
We can
people.
take one. Maybe
No, no.
I'll study and further, and then we
Yeah,
can have another session.
we can have one more.
And you can what we can do is people can post their questions, then I
That
can go
would be
through it.
wonderful.
I also have done this some 4 years exam, so I also have to see if there are any changes to the processes that I have mentioned. I have done some research, but I think I can still do a little more, find out, and then I can get we can have another session. But before that, if there are questions, I can, if I'm given these questions in advance, then
Sure.
maybe I can find. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think we can take right now other questions. Ganesh is saying you have summarized IGSC quite precisely and concisely. So Ganesh,
No, that's very little of what I told. I think whoever's done IGCSE can maybe, yeah.
yeah, but still, yeah, Ganesh, we still wait for your session to go a little more deeper and understand this whole thing. So we are still waiting for that, maybe next week or next to next week. And Anjali is asking, do you get NIS books for all standards without registrations? Reena,
All
she's a,
the books are downloadable from the website.
yeah.
So so if you are looking at any textbooks, both CBSE, that is from NCRT and from NIOS, any book, whether you're registered or you're not registered, you can still get all their books from their website. But your hard copies will come only when you register with them. That is, it will come by post to your postal address.
Yeah, and also I think I also again want to bring this, that when you go to the NIOS website, there are books first to 10th standard which you can download the e-copy, but NCRT is a separate book set. If you go to any of these shops where they are specific to the textbook, like one still I remember in Bangalore in Indranagar, there's a Hema stores where only the textbooks you get, all the school textbooks. If you go there and you ask them to give you NCRT set, they will give you a completely different set of first to 10th standard of all the subjects, which we actually have in our library. All the different subjects we have. So I think that I'm hoping that bringing a clarity that NIOS and IGSE both are based on NCRT syllabus, but the textbooks are different. Is that what, Reena, what I have summarized?
Yeah, it follows NCRT guidelines, but NCRT publishes the textbooks which CBSE boards use. So that is how to put it. Yeah. NCRT is a sole publisher for NCRT textbooks. And these are the schools which, especially your central school, right? These schools run for the central government employees, the armed forces. So these people very religiously, they don't, the teachers and students, all of them follow the NCRT textbooks. But of course, if you look at private CBSE schools, you will find similar contents are almost what you call the topics are the same, but written by different authors, and they are published by different publications, like Oxford publications are there. Then there's some Gulmohar and many different publishers are there. So you will find different textbooks being used by private CBSE schools.
Can I add a couple points about NCERT and NIOS?
Yes, sure.
Yeah, see, I think Reena covered these points, but I'm just elaborating on them. One is what she says about the NCERT books are perfect and the private books. NCERT books are so good that these private books are absolutely not required. This was my experience in schools. NCERT books have such wonderful activities. They're so cheap, so well written. I mean, I can go on for a lot more time. I mean, when I first got introduced to NCERT, I was really impressed. Okay. And for the same reason, students who are preparing for NIOS, if they use NCERT books initially to do the activities and all that, they'll get really interested and they learn a lot of science, whatever subject, and then they can go on to NIOS. That way they won't find it so boring. So learn concepts through the CBSE NCERT books and then go use the NIOS books just for the exams. And the third point is for the same reason, all NCERT books, extra worksheets, lot of material is available online. ncert.nic.in has all the soft copies of the same books which can be bought in stores. So if you don't want to buy any paper books, you can do it completely through the NCERT website and NIOS website.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ganesh. Mukunda and Krishna, between you have been assigned to the breakout room.
We need another breakout room.
Western dance. They're doing Bharatanatyam over there. So we are
You need an
asking Leela for another breakout room.
okay. I think I can't create one more room.
Breakout room 2.
I can't create dear one more room because I've already created. Give me a couple of minutes. I'll do it. Meanwhile, let the session. Yeah, give me a couple of minutes. Yeah. Reena, there's a couple of.
Yeah, I think, thank you, Ganesh. I second that. I also think that NCERT books are great books. Even students who come to us to learn NIOS, what we do is we actually start with NCERT books. So you can actually, if you look at social studies for that matter, it starts from 6th standard. So your science also starts, because before that it's EVS. So 6th science, so you take these books and you can start learning from, even when you go, see there's a nice progression from the 6th grade onwards. And when you reach your, if you have to do your 10th, then shifting to the 10th NIOS, this very dry textbook, doesn't matter, because you already have gathered a lot of content and concepts from the NCERT book, and learning the NIOS will be a breeze if you have done your NCERT books very well.
Yeah, Mukunda and Krishna, now you can.
Yeah. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
I think Ratnesh is also mentioning, and Jayashree is also mentioning, that the NCERT books are also now available online. And Shobita is saying they are available in Chickpet Market, even in your local place where you get, stationery and different kind of a thing. You can find a place where shops which specifically are having the textbook kind of a thing, and they mostly have NCERT books. If that helps.
Available online, but I always prefer hard copies when you read and you can.
Yeah.
So, but to start off with, because right now, I think now most of the shops are open, so you can still go and buy your books. But if you you want to start off, you can download them from the website which is there, ncert.nic.in.
Yeah. Roshni is also saying they have ordered it via Amazon. Yeah, they might be also available. Yeah. Trisha is there.
Also, one more thing. Also, there are regional NCERT offices in almost all the cities.
Yeah.
So there's one. There's in Bangalore. There's of course in all the other cities it is there. You could actually even them and see if you want to go. You'll get, like, you want to buy in bulk or something. You want to buy a lot of books. You could go there, visit them, and they are also open to.
Yeah.
You can buy from them as well.
Yeah, and if anybody, I think, has any issue, there is a central center in BTM layout, third stage of this, which is the main center. Normally, if you go there, you get all kinds of help. So I'm talking about Bangalore here. I know in every city they have a place where you can get the. Mishti, you want me to shift you to the breakout room, dear? So what Reena I'm suggesting, Trisha also, is that let's go back little to our whatever reading, whatever we have done till now, or whatever Reena has shared with us, and then we come back again for another session where we have all done little bit of done the website search, gone to the NIO's website, check the different subjects, check the different things, and then we can come back, and then Reena can give more. Meanwhile, Reena, you also want to do little more research on this.
I think if you want to know more about NIOS and how to go about registering and things like that, I'll try and write one note on how to do it and put it up so that people can go and read it, understand it, and see how to register for exam for NIOS board. But if you are if you are very keen on doing only the CBSE, then you should be attached to a school that offers this syllabus.
Yeah, so I also want to share, just recently the one child was sharing with me that at the 8th standard he decided to go back to school in Lucknow, and when he went to the school authority called up the education authority and say there is a child who hasn't gone to school, what should we do about this and all. So the government authority told them that children have the right to do homeschooling, and now if they want to come back to your school, it's your responsibility to take the child in the school. They just ask for whatever are your school logistic entrance test or anything you want to take, you take from the child, and then parents can give an affidavit that child was being homeschooled and now child is going back. So there are a couple of children who have taken, say, the one who wanted to go to the CBSE syllabus. They get into, say, entry at 9th or 10th standard directly into the school, and then you get attached to a school in different forms if that is what you are looking for it. Yeah. Jayashree also.
So to understand, so if you're looking at, we are very clear, I want to do a professional course in medicine, engineering, you need to also understand whether the NIOS board allows you to appear for all the exams that are there, all the exams. Because if you look at IGCSE, for example, once you finish your 10th and you want to get into a PUC board, the state syllabus, like let's say a college in a normal college which offers 11th, 12th, that is PUC, there is something called an eligibility certificate that you need to procure from the state department, education department, and then go and submit. It's a lot of running around. So do you really want to do that? Is something that you need to, and after that you'll have to do your 11th, 12th. But if you have done your 10th NIOS, there are certain colleges where they do not take students from 10th NIOS. That's something that there's a fight that is happening between colleges, between parents, and between NIOS board. That's I don't know whether that is, but there are colleges. I know of this in Bangalore. There were colleges, very reputed colleges like Mount Carmel and Christ College and all that. After 10th standard, they did not take their students, and that was very unfair. These children had procured 80%, 90% marks, and they did not take them into the
11th, that is into their first PUC. They said, but after their 12th, then they are given admission to the degree. So this is something that we need to be very sure of, whether if after that, because I have a student, this student who appeared for, who did a law, and she told me that you cannot practice law. Even though she's doing a law, you cannot practice, but you can work in a law agency, law firm. So you can work, but you cannot practice. So that's
Yeah, I think that brings a very interesting thought, Reena. What you're bringing is that it's not only 10th. Don't look at 10th in isolation. Also look at what is your purpose of giving 10th. If you just want to give 10th for a certificate, yeah, go ahead with whichever way, break and all those kind of a thing. But if you have already right now, if you have that clarity that, you know, after 10th I want to go to this college, then also check out, like when Adarsh was doing, we did the same process with him, and he found out from the all these hotel management colleges that they take children from the NIOS board. So that makes sense that, you know, but if your purpose is to go to any if you even if you have the area that this area I want to go, then little more understand the colleges, also connect with them, find out what is that they are looking for, you know, what they at this moment, what they agree, what they disagree with, then accordingly plan your 10th.
Yeah. So this, what I was, the problem that I faced were a couple of years back. So I don't know now what are the changes that have taken place, whether they are accepting, whether not.
Yeah.
So we have to,
So it's always
even,
better to check with the colleges.
check with colleges, whichever. And if you have the clarity, like for example, will I get an admission into the professional courses like engineering after my 12th? Find that out right now.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you're keen on doing your medicine, keen on doing your engineering, and then you don't know whether NIOS board allows you to do or IG board allows you to do that, then better get that clarity.
Yeah.
In that case, you should maybe take that diversion right away and say, okay, this is what I want to do. So yeah, that is very important.
Yeah, so it's like any other interest, whichever interest you want to pursue. If you're at this moment getting clearer that this is how I want to go ahead and little more go deeper into understanding what is that I want to take my path forward. And I think parents can play a lot of role in this understanding, bringing this whole awareness back to the child, and you know, this is what is. So Danuja is asking professional art courses, Bharatnatyam. So Danuja, there are two ways of going it. You can either you have a space in your mind that, you know, I want to send my child, or child has a space in mind that I want to go to that space. Then understand from those spaces what are their current logistics about the admission. So whether you talk about art, Bharatnatyam, Carnatic, so there are all mediums. You can go ahead without any 10th examination. You can go with the colleges with 10th examination, and so you need to figure that out. So yeah, Reena, you want to add something to it?
I was just wondering, is it for professional art courses? Can you elaborate on the question also, Danuja?
Yeah, my question was my child is actually interested in dance forms, classical dance forms, and she's been learning for quite some time, like 3.5 years now. So she's 7.5 now. And in case she wants to take it to the next level in a professional way, she wants to join some dance school, then I actually came across a few websites where they have mandatory 12th certification for to join their college. So will it be the same case for will they allow, if the child has taken up NIO, will she be able to take it? Was my question. Or
so I would say that in all likelihood they should take, because there is no harm, because in NIOS also they offer courses like music. Hindustani music is there,
Okay.
In Carnatic, Hindustani music is there, yoga is there, and things like that are there.
Okay.
But you should check this if you have already shortlisted some of these colleges or universities that offer these courses. Do check with them if an iOS certification will do. Or so I think that if you have that clarity, then that should.
Yeah. Also, Danuja, maybe
Yes, ma'am.
you can also check with those universities or the colleges which you have asked for it. That my child is being homeschooled and doing the skill development, and based on the portfolio, can we apply for the admission? My own daughter got from Azim Premji University. There was a course on sustainability they asked for a graduation level certificate, but she
Okay.
wrote to them her portfolio that I haven't done any examination 10th 12th or degree, but I have this work experience with me, and these are the projects which I have done. This is what my portfolio is, and based on that she got the admission. She got the
Okay.
admission for that. So many of the time, uh, uh, some of these, like I think Shobita is talking about Nalanda University, Ashoka University. You check with those some of these places, not
Okay.
Azim Premji, and even the university or the college with which whom you have found out that they need the 12th certificate. You can
Okay.
have start a dialogue with them, have a conversation with them, that these are the objective and this is where we are, what are the different possibility. Maybe nobody has approached them, like in Azim Prem's
Yeah.
University, nobody would have just for the general they write, okay, this is the kind of commitment or this is the level of understanding we need before you come for this course. Yeah.
Yes.
But if you approach them and understand from them, even like I will even go ahead and ask you to go ahead and have conversation with Mount Carmel College. If anybody is looking at admission in
Okay.
Mount Carmel, start conversation with them, start communication with them. In fact,
Okay.
when we went to the for these clubs, football clubs for Drupad, he's now
Okay.
15-year-old, different clubs where we went. What happens in club is that there is a specific training for the football, it happens, and then the rest of the time they take classes for children so they can appear for 10th. But when we presented our case that why we don't want our children to go through 10th, or why we would like the children to develop different skills and different developmental thing rather than going for the 10th, they actually, one of the academy from Madras approached us that how can we now bring this open structure for our rest of the children. They were not even aware that okay, this is also is possible, because they said no parent has come and asked me, you're the first parent you're asking, so let's sit together. We had a long conversation with them that how we can let these children do different things through different structures. So many of these streams where our children are showing the interest, they might be putting up just a 10th or 12th as a matter of just to get the basic understanding that the child has got. In fact, many of the coaches or the club owners told our children that studies are important or you should go for it. But when they had a conversation with those head of those clubs, they got to know that it's not that if they are not kind of studying, they're wasting their time. They have done a lot of different things. So all those documentation, all those portfolios, all those skills development, all those your overall development, I think, which Reena was talking about in the beginning, if you create that kind of a thing, chances are that uh, they can consider your case.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think what Reena started with in the beginning is it's the whole wholesome education. Are we looking at that rather than just leaving out some things and then just coming back to the something? So that if the framework is there in our place, then some of these logistics can be worked out, and many of the places are now opening up for these logistics. So
Yes.
that's what.
Thank you so much.
Reena, you want to
I'll
add
check out on
anything
my
to?
part as well, on my
Yeah.
side.
Reena, you want to add anything to this?
Yeah, I think as people who have taken this unconventional route of homeschooling our children, of understanding what education should be. For me, my parting thought will be to all parents in this meeting or in this group, even children. If you can read, I will send you the document, the National Curriculum Framework. Read it. It's a beautifully written document, but some things may go off off your head because it may not make sense. But we can always come back and discuss it. I would suggest that you read this document.
Yeah.
It will give you a very grounded knowledge of what education should be, because that should be our starting point, I think. And
Yes,
then
yeah.
let's that would be my parting thought. But besides that, if you're keen on knowing more about the NIOS boards, we can always find out. IGCSE is also something that if there are people in the group who can give us more information. I personally like that curriculum, but if you are planning to stay in India and if you have to go through a lot of trouble seeking admissions to other colleges and courses, then I would not advise. But otherwise, I think it is a great curriculum.
Shobita has also mentioned some more informal universities and different kind of places. So Shobita, I think I will post this recording also on Slack. If you can put it up there also, so then people have some more reference. Some of the children who are getting into dance and music, it can help them. Reena, if you are okay, maybe we can even talk even later. If you are okay to, if we can read this framework together, or we read and we come back and discuss if we can figure out some way of doing this NCF education policy reading, and then just understanding it, nothing else.
Yeah, we can do that, Aditi.
Yeah, like we do other parenting books reading, we can understand the education books also, and we can get.
We could do this with some of our older children too. I think it will be a very engaging session then.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think that's a good. I can. Preeti is also asking if you can share the document. So yeah, I will share the recording immediately now within a half an hour, and then you guys can put up your notes and resources and all different kind of things out there. Okay, yeah. So thanks. It's a great beginning, Reena. And I'm happy some of the children were there. So for them to understand what is our role and responsibility in this whole concept of education. So yeah. So yeah.
I could to begin with, for those children who are keen on taking up exams, maybe we can start off by doing small sessions on note taking strategies, how to engage in meaningful learning, how to make meaning while learning. Things that can be started off, I think. So if children, if this is the time, maybe we'll start off once a week, and if it really is giving them a lot of value, then we can see how to do this on a regular basis.
Sure.
Yeah.
That would be wonderful. I think this is part of the study club. We can take it forward in this, as if now it's weekly once, but then if the children have the need, we can have it even more. So I can coordinate with you, Dina, and then we can take it forward. So that's quite wonderful. I think some of them are interested. At least Trisha, I know she has been connecting with me and asking, taking, there's a lot of conversation happening with Trisha on that. So I'm quite excited for Trisha at this
I have
moment.
a very vested interest in that, because I can get Nidhi to join. Otherwise, it's so difficult to.
Yeah, that would be nice. Yeah, I think they get what they want, then they will join. So yeah, Trisha and Nidhi, yeah, we can start with that. Yeah. Yes, so great feeling,
Yeah.
feeling quite excited with this whole different windows opening up for us, for our children. So thank you. Yeah.
I just read some comments. Thank you all for
Yeah.
your time and for nice comments that you've written. I really hope it helped, but do write to me. I can find out more.
Yes, Reena, it was really helpful, and thank you so much for this talk. Yes.
So Reena, what I suggest is that, you know, if all those question answers is happening on the Slack, then it can also help different people. So if it is possible, people can post their questions there, and then we can take it forward from there. So more people get like, even in today's session we have people like Roshni, whose child is just 5 years, but it will really help them to know what's there for them.
Okay.
So Reena, there are a lot of thank you, gratitude for you. You can.
Thanks so much. Yeah, in